Officer Jacob's story serves as a reminder that love and protection can come from anyone. Sometimes, a stranger can become family in a special way. Let us know where you're watching from. Now relax and enjoy this amazing story. The rain lashed against the windshield of Officer Jacob's patrol car, blurring the streetlights and turning the roads into shimmering rivers of reflection. It was a miserable night in Willow Creek, Oregon, the kind of night where most people curled up indoors, safe from the relentless storm. Then came the call. His radio crackled with static before the dispatcher's voice broke through, sharp and urgent. 911 emergency at 145 Pine Street. Caller is a 3-year-old male. Jacob's fingers instinctively tightened around the steering wheel. A 3-year-old calling 911? The child isn't saying much, but something seems off. He keeps repeating, "Grandpa won't wake up." I tried asking more questions, but he's too young to explain properly. Without another thought, he flipped on his sirens, the red and blue lights piercing through the stormy night. His cruiser skidded slightly as he accelerated through the rain-slicked streets, adrenaline beginning to pump through his veins. 145 Pine Street. Pulling into the driveway, he killed the engine and stepped out, instantly drenched by the relentless rain. He moved quickly up the front steps, knocking hard on the wooden door. "Police! Open up! Who is it? Hey there! My name is Officer Jacob. I'm here to help. Can you open the door for me?" Then, a faint click as the lock turned. The door creaked open just a few inches, revealing a pair of wide, tear-filled blue eyes peering up at him. A small boy, no older than 3, with messy blonde hair sticking to his damp forehead. He clutched a worn-out teddy bear, his tiny fingers gripping it like a lifeline. His pajamas were slightly dirty, his cheeks streaked with tears. "Are you okay?" But Grandpa fell down, and he won't wake up. His trained eyes quickly scanned the room. It was small and dimly lit, the curtains drawn shut. The furniture was old, the floral-patterned couch faded and sagging. On the wooden coffee table, a few unopened letters lay scattered, some yellowed at the edges. A pile of toys sat abandoned in the corner, next to a small, half-assembled puzzle. But it wasn't the state of the house that made Jacob's blood run cold. It was the man on the floor. Jacob dropped to his knees, his pulse spiking. He pressed 2 fingers to the old man's neck. Jacob reached for his radio, his voice sharp and urgent. "This is Officer Jacob. I need immediate medical assistance at 145 Pine Street. Elderly male, unconscious, head trauma. Breathing, but unresponsive. Send paramedics now." "Copy that. Emergency medical response en route. ETA, 4 minutes." Jacob turned back to Luke, who was still standing frozen near the couch, his wide blue eyes locked on his grandfather. The boy looked so small, so helpless. "Luke, you did something very brave tonight. Because of you, your grandpa is going to get help." Luke sniffled, his tiny hands gripping the teddy bear even tighter. "Is he going to be okay?" "The paramedics are almost here. They're going to do everything they can to help him, okay?" Just then, a loud clap of thunder shook the house. Luke jumped, squeezing his teddy bear even tighter. Jacob extended a hand, offering something steady in all this chaos. "Come here, kiddo." Hesitating only for a second, Luke stepped forward and grasped Jacob's hand. His fingers were small, cold, but surprisingly strong. A loud knock on the door pulled Jacob's attention. The paramedics had arrived. Jacob stood and quickly ushered them inside. 2 EMTs rushed to where Edward Green lay, immediately assessing his condition. One checked his vitals, while the other prepped an oxygen mask. As the ambulance pulled away into the night, Jacob could have left, but as he looked down at the small boy standing beside him on the porch. "Luke, do you know when your mommy and daddy are coming home?" Luke blinked up at him, his blue eyes still glistening with silent tears. "Mommy and Daddy are working. They said they'd be home soon, but Grandpa said it would take a long time." Luke needed help. Calling Child Protective Services, CPS, could mean Luke being taken away from his family. If CPS determined George and Rachel Green were unfit parents, Luke could end up in the foster system. With a deep breath, he reached for his radio. "Dispatch, this is Officer Jacob. I need contact information for Child Protective Services in Willow Creek. I need a caseworker at 145 Pine Street as soon as possible." "Copy that, Officer Jacob. I'll patch you through to Sophie Stewart at CPS. Stand by." Jacob looked back down at Luke. The little boy yawned, exhaustion creeping in. "Come on, kiddo. Let's get you inside. We'll wait for Miss Sophie together." Luke nodded and let Jacob lead him back into the house. The next morning, Officer Jacob had just brought Luke to Willow Creek General Hospital when Sophie arrived. "Jacob, you sounded concerned on the phone. Tell me everything." As they walked through the hospital corridor, Jacob laid out the situation. Sophie sighed. "I'll need to speak to Edward and Luke before making any recommendations." Jacob led her to Edward's hospital room, where the old man was awake but visibly weak. Luke was curled up in a chair beside the hospital bed, hugging his teddy bear, watching his grandfather with quiet concern. "Mr. Green, I understand you've been taking care of Luke while his parents are away." "Yes, he's my grandson. I love him more than anything." "But it hasn't been easy, has it?" Edward hesitated. Finally, he sighed. "No, it hasn't. I thought I could handle it. But the truth is, I've been having dizzy spells. The doctors told me to take it easy, but I didn't want to burden George and Rachel. They work so hard." Jacob exchanged a glance with Sophie. This was exactly what he had suspected. Edward had been struggling, but his love for Luke kept him from asking for help. Sophie took notes, then turned her attention to Luke, crouching down to his level. "Hi, sweetheart," she said with a warm smile. "My name is Sophie. I heard you did something really brave yesterday, calling 911 to help your grandpa." Luke looked at her cautiously before nodding. "That was very smart of you. Did you ever feel scared when you were home alone with Grandpa?" "Sometimes. When Grandpa was too tired to wake up, I had to do things myself, like making breakfast." "And did you ever feel like you had to take care of Grandpa?" Luke nodded, his tiny fingers clutching his teddy bear even tighter. Sophie sighed, turning back to Jacob. "This situation isn't sustainable, but I don't think removing Luke from his home is the answer either." Jacob felt a wave of relief. He had been dreading the possibility that CPS might take Luke away, placing him in temporary foster care. "So what's the plan?" Sophie glanced at Edward, then at Luke, before making her decision. "We'll arrange for in-home care assistance for Mr. Green. That way, he'll have help managing his health, and Luke won't be left completely on his own." Edward's face filled with gratitude. "Thank you. I don't want to lose my grandson." "We'll also be reaching out to George and Rachel. They need to understand the reality of this situation and come up with a long-term plan that prioritizes Luke's safety." As the conversation wrapped up, Jacob watched Luke climb onto the hospital bed, curling up beside his grandfather, seeking comfort. The days following Edward's hospitalization were a whirlwind of adjustments. Child Protective Services, CPS, had arranged for in-home care assistance for Edward, ensuring he had the support he needed. George and Rachel Green had been contacted, but their return to Willow Creek was still delayed due to business commitments. That left Luke, still just a 3-year-old boy, who needed care, comfort, and someone to rely on. And somehow, Officer Jacob found himself stepping into that role. At first, he told himself he was just checking in, a simple visit to 145 Pine Street, bringing groceries, making sure Edward was settling in with the home care workers. But every time he stopped by, Luke's face would light up with a joy that hit Jacob straight in the chest. Days turned into weeks, and before Jacob knew it, he hadn't set foot at 145 Pine Street in over a month. It gnawed at him, the feeling of having let Luke down. The sun was just beginning to set when Jacob pulled up to 145 Pine Street. As he stepped out of the car and walked up the porch, he barely had time to knock before the front door burst open. And then Luke was there. The little boy launched himself at Jacob, arms outstretched, nearly knocking him off balance. "Jacob!" Jacob froze for just a second, caught off guard by how much he had missed this. Then, without hesitation, he bent down, wrapping his arms around Luke, holding him close. "I missed you, buddy. I missed you too. You were gone forever." "Yeah, it felt like forever, huh? Come inside. I made something for you." Jacob let himself be pulled inside, a warmth settling in his chest that had nothing to do with the house's heater. He had spent weeks chasing criminals, closing a major case, and doing what he was trained to do. But here, in this small, worn-out house, with a 3-year-old clinging to his hand, he felt something he never had before. He was home. It had been nearly 2 months since Officer Jacob first stepped into the life of Luke. And now, standing in his office at the Willow Creek Police Department, he found himself facing the moment he had been dreading. When George and Rachel Green stepped into the station, no accusations. Instead, Rachel was crying. Jacob blinked, thrown completely off guard. "Officer Jacob, we came here to thank you." "Thank me? We read the CPS reports. We saw everything. We thought we were doing what was best for Luke. We told ourselves we were working hard for him, for his future. But we weren't there, Jacob. We weren't there when he needed us." She covered her mouth, as if the guilt was physically painful. Shaking her head, her voice cracked. "Luke was alone, and you were there for him when we weren't. I just did what needed to be done. No, you did more than that. You cared, and you made Luke feel safe. We owe you more than we can ever say." "We're making changes, Officer Jacob. Real changes. We've both spoken to our employers. We're cutting down on travel. We're going to be present. We're going to be the parents Luke deserves." For the first time, Jacob felt some of the tension ease from his chest. In the weeks following their return, George and Rachel made good on their promises. Most importantly, they became present in their son's life. Love and connection can come in the most unexpected ways. What would you do if a desperate 911 call came from a 3-year-old child? Please share your thoughts in the comments below. If this story touched your heart, give it a like and share it with others. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel to hear more inspiring stories. Goodbye, and see you soon.